So, with Hazbin Hotel finally released on Amazon Prime, and with 4 episodes currently running from when I'm writing this, and the series so far, well, it's only been about 4 episodes, but yet, it already feels off. Like, something is missing. What is that exactly? Well, I think I have an idea. This isn't towards the production, like the animation, or the music, or the voice actors. That'll be its own separate video for like a general review. My biggest issue with the show is, well, its pacing. The series is playing as though we've already set an establishment with the characters in the world. Like we've just grown accustomed to these versions of these characters from the pilot, from now the series. But yet, the show's only just started. Well, we got a problem. Because to me, it feels like after episode 1, someone just sped up the series past like 10 or 12 episodes worth of stuff that it could have been really used, like almost half a season's worth of stuff I may argue. Or they were cut or something. Now normally you'd set a foundation first, like the show's tone, the basic character introductions, the world building, you know, that basic kind of first season kind of stuff, establishing everything in your series. But for some reason, we're just flung straight in, which feels like a midway of a season, I swear. Because we're given what's supposed to be these heavy moments of plans being unfolded, conflict with other hell sectors, and characters going through their moments. But that's all they are. Moments, but with no impact. Like the Hazbin Hotel feels more like the Moment Hotel. Moment Hotel, where things happen but with no impact. Where we're shown these moments with a character or characters, where you're meant to feel these emotions of these certain moments, but no, I'm sorry, I'm gonna sound like a sociopath maybe, but I felt nothing. I did not feel anything. Because I barely know any of these characters, or at least these versions of the characters. We're not given enough time with them to truly grasp a connection or establishment with them, especially from the various character interactions. You can't expect people to just meet these characters and suddenly act like, oh, don't you care about us? Isn't this so emotional? Look at our moments. Like, no, not really. I've just met you, I'm sorry. I want to feel something, but you've not set the foundation for me. Especially when it comes to like certain songs. Not every song's affected by this, but some songs don't have as much impact as they should have because, well, there's a lack of foundation. And there's a few songs here that would have been greatly impacted if they were actually given a strong foundation set from the characters within them. Like for example, the song Losers. Now before you beat the shit out of me, can you please hear me out please? Just hear me out for the love of God. I can hear you. Hear me out. The performances from Blake Roman and Keith David are great. They're fun. The animation's pretty good too, and the song's alright. But it should have been more impactful, and it should be much more earnest. The song was a resonance of the two getting along as they shared a similar fates of being dealt a bad hand. Well, at least a part of the song. Basically them having their moment. But we've barely had any time with them. I'll be honest, maybe like a few short, brief moments. Like, if we had a good enough time with the two, interacting with each other, like bickering back and forth, throwing shade, teasing for a good number of episodes, and adding with Angel having more screen time, showing his layers on stage and behind the scenes, so to speak. And then we get to this episode. And same with Husk, giving him more screen time as well. With the setting foundation and the layering of the character's history with the atmosphere of development, this moment and song would have been more satisfactory, setting a new updated status on a dynamic. If you read that as me being a pompous, snooty little snob like, yes, it's not satisfactory to my quota, I totally get that. I don't know why I wrote it like this, I just sound like a pompous jackass. Like, I'm not saying we need a whole season hand-holding the viewers like, oh, look at that, that's the characters here, this is the world here, and these two characters don't like each other, these two do. Look at that one, he's doing the sex thing, isn't that funny? But I'm just asking for simple world building and character introductions while showing off the various statuses and dynamics of each character's relationship. Because setting the foundation is very important, especially if you're going to have a song of a character or characters developing a change of their status for one another. Now, bear in mind, I watched the pilot when it came out, and I still wasn't feeling anything from the series. So I can imagine how it is for someone who's just started fresh from the series. If you're a hardcore fan of Vivziepop or even Hazbin Hotel, sure. But you're talking from the pilot back then to the series now, solely relying on fan dedication? That's not always good. I mean, it's great that you built up an audience for your concept, but you need to freshly establish the series from the ground up, like any other show. Because the pilot is only the pitch concept. Once it's ready to go, you need to set the foundation for the characters, the world, and how everything works in this world, to best distinguish the series from the pilot. Like, don't get me wrong, there's some characters I've enjoyed, but only due to the brilliant performances of the actors. But if the series had built up the characters, it would have been much more impactful, given enough episodes before we get to the heavy stuff. Especially if a character is showing signs of change, development, or even particular moments. For my example, Angel Dust, who's voiced by Blake Roman. He's got Angel's playfulness down where he's talking in the hotel with everyone else like Husk, Charlie, Vaggie. You know, he's got that down. He fits like a glove. But what caught my attention to him is in episode 4, where Angel has to break the facade to Charlie to get away from Valentino. The trembling in his voice, that grabbed my attention. Like, it was like he grabbed me by my head to make me look right at him. He surely got my attention, because he really stood out to me in terms of the acting, in terms of character as well. But if we were given more time with Angel with various characters, even his own solo episodes, this could have been a much more impactful moment. Not that it already was impactful given the subject matter. If we'd seen Angel act the way he does with the public and how he interacts for a decent bunch of episodes, and then we start peeling away at the mask to see what goes on in Angel's life, and to see him change, the impact would be far greater with the build-up. Because it's not really development if we barely see the contrast. If we don't see the before to the after, there is no contrast. Like, this is gonna be quite an unfair example, but hear me out. Remember Zuko from Avatar? Speaking of Avatar, Jesus Christ, what is happening over there? Like how much growth he has as a character. His journey to find out who he truly is and what he truly wants and not what people expect him to be. To find himself again to be who he's meant to be. And going through all that development and how much praise it gets to this very day. Well, imagine we just met Zuko, right? And he's the antagonist. And then like 2 episodes later, he's then reformed. The impact of his development is gone. It would have no impact and be a disservice to his character. That's this show's issue. No impact. They had clear key character moments but forgot to add the foundation that leads to those key moments. As a fellow creative myself in my own projects, I totally get that. I have key moments with certain character or characters in my head and I want them written down somewhere and to show at some point. But I need to build up to those moments to truly feel the impact. Now, my initial idea of how the show would have went, every so often we would get an episode of a demon trying to redeem themselves. This could entail some wacky shenanigans with the guest, whether they really want to be redeemed or they're just up to no good, like, I don't know, gang wars, drug-laden stuff, or some type of debauchery to best put it, or just taking advantage of the hotel's privileges. Some episodes could focus on a certain character in the hotel itself, getting to know them a bit better, seeing more of their history, or what's their status and everything, and what they're like. Meanwhile, doing all that, you plant little seeds of mystery and events soon to be unfolded later on. Like the various rulers of hell, the angels' plans, or even people like Alistair, or at least from my seen him as. That'll be a separate video entirely. I mean, yeah, it sounds kind of formulaic, but it's an easy way to set up the world, the characters, and watch as they grow and take shape to something new or worse, depending on how you do it. Now, I just want to say, if you're a hardcore fan from the pilot, or just getting into the series and you're loving it, that's great. Glad you're enjoying it. In fact, tell me what you enjoyed the most about it. I'm just giving my views. If you disagree, that's totally fine. We can all be fans and have different views on the show. That's totally possible. I shouldn't have to be saying this, but we all know what people are like on Twitter and such, and with opinions, so, you know. Because I had high hopes for the show, for its potential, but with how things are going so far, it's not really selling the concept to me. Especially when it doesn't want to pace itself or actually take time setting things up. Now, I don't want you sitting here thinking, oh, he's just another hater, or he's just being too harsh. I'm being very gentle here. I'm being very, very gentle here. I'm only being this critical is because, well, I truly had high hopes for this concept, and I care enough about it to give my actual honest thoughts on the series. Well, so far, anyway. Again, so far. There's still more episodes, but this is just from my first 4 episode viewing, so who knows? It might get better along the way, so again, take it with a big grain of salt. Because I'm not just going to sit there and consume stuff and go, oh, it's perfect, it's okay, it has no flaws. Because that's a horrible mindset to me. There's going to be flaws, issues, big or small. Everyone's got them. Because if I have notes or different perceptions, I'm going to address them. Being my views. You don't have to agree. If you don't, that's okay. If you do, okay, cool. Because again, this is my first 4 episodes kind of review of the series so far. At least the biggest issue I had to talk about. But I'll stick around and see how it goes for the first season and see if it gets any better. This has been Drew. Those are my views, and I bid you adieu.